Faroe Islands explained. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, you'll find the Faroe Islands. The rough and rocky Faroe Islands are most well known for its bird cliffs and their natural nature. The Faroe Islands are comprised of 18 major islands and hundreds of islets and skerries. However, in addition to its topography and flora and fauna, there is a great deal more information to learn about this archipelago. A brief overview of the history of the islands. The Faroe Islands were the site of archaeological investigations that uncovered evidence of human habitation beginning about the year 300 AD. There is no evidence that can point to where they originated from. Much later, attacks by Norwegian Vikings and subsequent colonization by Norse people drove away or absorbed the original inhabitants who had settled the area. Around the year 900, the Norwegians founded their Althing, which is the equivalent of a parliament. In 1035, the islands were incorporated into Norway as a province, much like the other islands or island groups in the North Atlantic, including Shetland, Orkney, Iceland and Greenland. In 1814, Norway entered into a new union, this time with Sweden, bringing to an end the late medieval union that had previously existed between Norway and Denmark. The Faroe Islands, along with Iceland and Greenland, are still considered to be part of Denmark despite their independence. Iceland attained its independence in 1944, while the other two have spent decades fighting for self-rule on a variety of fronts. Iceland was the first to achieve independence. The government and society as a whole. The islands are a self-governing territory within the Danish state and send 2 members to the Folketing, which is the name of the Danish legislature. These representatives are chosen every 4 years. The Faroe Islands Parliament, known as the Lagting, is made up of 32 elected members who then vote to choose an executive body, known as the Landsstyre, that will be led by a chairman. The Folketing has authority over the nation's monetary and legal institutions, as well as its foreign and defence policies. Denmark's presence on the islands is represented by a commissioner. The educational system is similar to that of Denmark. The islands have reliable access to medical care. A sizable portion of the population has, for an extended period of time, advocated for complete autonomy from Denmark. In 1999, the Landsstyre initiated talks with the government of Denmark over the terms and circumstances of complete autonomy. The annual payment of 1 billion Danish kroner from Denmark as half of the revenues from exports was an essential subject that was discussed throughout the discussions. Approximately 50,000 people call the Faroe Islands home at any one time. They have their own language, which, like the rest of the Scandinavian languages, is derived from ancient Norse. Moreover, there is a functioning parliament, the Ting, with some degree of home rule, a Faroese flag, merki, a Faroese currency, even though it has the same worth as that of the Danish kroner, and last but not least, a national soccer club. All of these things can be found in the Faroe Islands, football having to be the most famous sport there. If you are a part of the Kingdom of Denmark, then you should know that Copenhagen is in charge of the police, the defence and the judicial system. Unlike Denmark, the Faroe Islands are not a member of the European Union. This presents an intriguing contrast between the two countries. The economy overall. Aside from the service sector, the Faroe Islands' economy is largely dependent on agriculture, and more specifically fishing, and this has been the case for generations. The economy goes through cycles of expansion and contraction in much the same way as the fishing industry does. It should come as no surprise that tourism has developed into a significant sector in recent years, given the very gorgeous landscape that can be seen everywhere. The geography. When seen from above, the 18 islands have the appearance of a 3-dimensional puzzle piece, with the height of the 3rd dimension being greatly accentuated. When we say this, what we mean is that the enormous steep cliffs lend a significant amount of drama to the adventure of hiking, sailing or driving about the islands. There are roads, passageways, bridges and even tunnels under the water that link the main islands, which are home to around 80% of the total population. Because the distances are not very great, seeing the area by car would not need an excessive amount of time. It is possible to travel throughout the islands using the normal bus services. However, this option may be inconvenient if you're not participating on a guided trip. Because we wanted both independence and convenience, we chose to rent a car instead of driving my own. The outer islands have fewer people living on them, see fewer tourists, and are serviced by ships and even helicopters. It is more probable that you will want to wander about in the towns and hamlets while you are on the islands, as well as trek to the top of a hill or to a specific cliff. These activities are what are likely to keep you engaged while you are on the islands. Footpaths that have been well marked will lead the way. Around every turn and around every curve in the road, you will find a plethora of cottages, boathouses, chapels, 70,000 sheep, 2 million seabirds, and spectacular vistas. The climate on Faroe Islands. The islands experience a wide range of weather conditions due to their proximity to the North Atlantic, which is known for its unpredictability in terms of its storms, rainfall, and winds. Temperatures are relatively consistent throughout the year, ranging from 5.8 degrees in January to 13.1 degrees in August. Bring along some warm clothing and rain gear just in case. In the event that it does not rain, the sky will almost certainly be cloudy. Those that come to pay a visit will hopefully have the good fortune to go at a time when the sky is clear and the sun is shining. The end consequence of all this is a dark blue and a green colour. Green mountains, green valleys, and a big blue ocean all around it make up this stunningly beautiful landscape. Accommodation and food. There are places to stay all around the area, including homestays, cottages, and Airbnb, in addition to hotels and hostels in the larger towns. You will be able to make it through the ordeal by eating just hamburgers and pizzas. You will benefit tremendously from trying the food of the region. Prepare yourself for a diet consisting of meat, especially mutton, shellfish, and potatoes. Traditional meals often do not include an excessive amount of freshly prepared vegetables. Ræstkjöt refers to dried or semi-dried mutton, while fiskur is the Icelandic word for matured fish. The flesh of seabirds, puffins, and whales, as well as their eggs, are considered to be gourmet foods. Beer is the beverage of choice, but powerful spirits are seldom used. The language. Around 48,000 people call the Faroe Islands home, and most of them speak the Faroese language, which is also written Faroese and is called Faroese Frøysk. The Faroese language is classified as a member of the West Scandinavian branch of the North Germanic family of languages. It maintains a greater number of Old Norse traits than any other language, with the exception of contemporary Icelandic, which is closely linked to it but cannot be understood by speakers of either language. Even though Danish was the official language of the Faroe Islands, there was not much literary activity on the islands. However, the local dialects continued to evolve through time. After 1773, traditional dance songs began to be written down, and it wasn't until 1846 that an independent orthography was established. Now, these ballads constitute the majority of the Faroese people's traditionary literary canon. Faroese was originally presented as a regional accent of Icelandic by the Danish language professor Rasmus Rask, who started writing the first Faroese grammar, 1811. However, Faroese is a separate language that is comparable among West Norwegian and Icelandic and contains many Danish borrowed words. Rasmus Rask was the author of the first Faroese grammatical rules books and works. In the year 1846, the Faroese linguist and folklorist Wenceslaus Ulricus Hammershaimb was the one who first committed the language to writing form. The spelling is etymologizing and unphonetic, which gives Faroese a look that is quite similar to Icelandic. The language is famous for the abundance of diphthongs, which emerged from earlier vowels that were more straightforward. As early as 1912, the Faroese language was given permission to be spoken in some schools and churches. Following the formation of Home Rule in 1948, the Faroese language became the principal language that was taught in the educational system. Even though they are relatively few in number, the Faroe Islands carry quite a punch. In addition to its rounded and undulating mountains, precipitous sea cliffs, lakes that seem to be floating in mid-air, and breathtaking waterfalls, these islands are teeming with human life, history, culture, and heritage. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, comment and turn on the notification bell. This is Learning Canteen.